Unconditional self-acceptance is the first step in my 5-step therapeutic and self-awareness process. Why is unconditional self-acceptance so important? It is so important because it is basically the opposite to all the mindsets that are causing us to feel depressed. Now think about that for a moment. This is a self-acceptance we may even see as radical, as unrealistic, but only because we have become so deeply normalized into our lack of self-acceptance. My self-judgments were so deeply buried in my unconscious mind that I didn't even know I was continually attacking myself. All I knew is that I just suddenly felt so hopeless, and that hopelessness wouldn't lift. We have normalized the belief that we have to live up to some arbitrary set of standards before we can deem ourselves to be worthy. We have normalized our ongoing self-criticism to such an extent that we are not aware of what we are doing to ourselves, not realizing that these unconscious mindsets are like having a house that is riddled with termites and therefore buckles in the face of strong winds. It's like we are living in a house where people are constantly putting us down. This house is our own mind. Some may say that unconditional self-acceptance is just being self-indulgent, but genuinely positive and resilient people also have a deep commitment to personal responsibility, which is the second step in my 5-step process. They don't get caught up with blaming others when things don't go their way, but they don't blame themselves either. They accept their right to be human, that being human is a reality of existing in this world. The perceptions we have around personal responsibility are often distorted by the belief that we must get things right, and if we don't, we should be judged, or that we should judge ourselves, and that we have to impose shoulds and shouldn'ts on ourselves. It is essential to understand that this is not what personal responsibility is about. This approach to life is self-defeating. Unconditional self-acceptance ensures that you take full ownership of your mind in a way that accepts that you are human, and factors in that you are going to learn things by trial and error, even when it comes to overcoming self-defeating mindsets. It is not about getting it right, it is about having a go, learning from the experience, and then having another go, and so on, throughout your life. As I mentioned earlier, what unconditional self-acceptance does is remove all the shoulds and shouldn'ts that we have imposed on ourselves. I should be free of my depression by now. I should have got that right, or I shouldn't have got that wrong, or life shouldn't have turned out that way. Again, this is doing personal responsibility in the wrong way. This is personal oppression, not personal responsibility. We are learning to accept ourselves as we are, unconditionally, and we are also learning to accept life as it is, realizing that we can only work with what is now and where we are in our own mind and circumstances now. Every day is a new opportunity to be kind to yourself, to become more aware of your self-defeating mindsets and practice not giving yourself to those negative mindsets, but instead continually coming back to unconditional self-acceptance. When I began my healing process, just managing to wash the dishes that day was a good achievement. It was a step forward. It was something to build on. You're letting go of judging and blaming yourself and others, and you are letting go of trying to control things that you can't actually control. Hanging on to this stuff just keeps your suffering on a loop. Instead, you get on with tuning into your own mind, the real source of your suffering, with unconditional self-acceptance, which will enable you to have real compassion for your confused and vulnerable mind. Letting go and seeing your own mind as the source of your suffering can be hard to accept at first, but as I have pointed out, it actually simplifies things greatly. You stop wasting your time trying to control things in the world that are beyond your control. The real source of your problem is right in front of you every day, there for you to take care of every day. You did not condition yourself. Your environment that you grew up in did that. But once you awaken your awareness, you become your most important environmental influence. Therefore, from this day forward, make a rock-solid commitment to accept yourself unconditionally, while also accepting that it is your own mind that is causing you to suffer. So you are also committing to take full ownership of your mind as your mind's own loving and caring parent, which means letting go of blaming life or other people for your suffering and letting go of judging yourself for being human. No matter how entrenched your mind seems to be in its depressive self-attacking thinking, your commitment is to keep coming back to unconditional self-acceptance over and over again and never give up doing this. It does not matter how many times you forget or get defeated by your confused mind and fall back into depression. Your total commitment means that as soon as you realize that you are falling back into your confused mind, you do your best, whatever that is on the day, to reset yourself with unconditional self-acceptance and recommit to your process again and again, no matter what. The more you do this, the more you will become unconditional self-acceptance to yourself. Why? Simply because it works, and because it is your actual potential. Acceptance, compassion, kindness, love, in other words, is who you really are. Your mind just got cluttered up with the wrong stuff. You are not that negative self-defeating stuff. It is the giving up, thinking that it is hopeless, thinking that we are somehow defective, that defeats us. The more you keep giving yourself unconditional self-acceptance, no matter what, the more you will understand what that is. The more you will get used to being this for yourself. The more you will experience the difference it will make for you and for your life. And the more your mind will start being reconditioned by this new, ongoing, positive experience that you are learning to give it. Understand that every moment, no matter what is happening in that moment, is now an opportunity to be the loving parent to your mind. Remember, it's not about getting it right. It's about having a go over and over. Follow the links attached to this podcast highlight to experience the full podcast on overcoming depression and to check out my podcast channel for many other helpful podcasts on self-awareness, emotional healing and empowerment.